I woke up this morning to one of the craziest articles I've read in a long time. See, every morning I check the football news, but this one actually blew my mind. It was something like Hazard, Asensio, Chelsea, Madrid, a link, and I was like, no, this can't be happening. This has to be fake. With all the stories that have broken the Chelsea side of things, I have to do a Chelsea video. I've done my Arsenal take, and now in my opinion, I gotta talk about Chelsea. Let's jump into the Chelsea news in 3, 2, 1, let go. So let's start off talking about their results in the last 4 games. Out of 4 games, you get 3 defeats. One comes to Chelsea in a cup that not too many people care about. It's the Football League Cup. It's not a big deal. I used to call it the Capital One. No one gives it cup, you know what I'm saying? I never really cared too much about that cup. I know a lot of people don't care too much about it, okay? Now, in the last 4 games, you take a 4-1 result. First of all, you beat Newcastle. That's the only game you win. You lose a game 3-0, and then most importantly, you lose 4-1 to Watford, okay, with the red card. You get the red card, whatever, but you still lose 4-1. That's embarrassing, okay? Your next 2 games all of a sudden become massive. You got a game against West Brom, and you got a game against Hull City. Hull City being the 5th round of the FA Cup. So, if you beat Hull City, which you definitely should win that one, shout out to David Mile, I love you, buddy, and West Brom, you definitely got to win. Now, the reason I say you definitely got to win, because as bad as those results have just sounded, you are still only 6 points away from second place, and Mourinho's second place, the Mourinho guy that you guys, seem to have a rival against. Now, with where City stands right now, first let's put this out there. Nobody, myself, and all of you guys watching, even if you're a City fan, nobody anticipated City to be this far clear, top of the table, this deep into the season, or this early into the season, I should say. 69 points, and Chelsea has 50 points. That's a 19-point gap between Chelsea and Man City. Chelsea might be closer to the bottom than to, maybe they're not, but anyways, 19 points away from City, okay? But you're 1 point behind Liverpool, and you're 6 points behind United. Okay, so you're not in a bad place. When you take City out of the equation, you haven't had a terrible season. You can still do this. But let's kind of talk about deja vu real quick. And before we go any further, if you like these football talks, in my opinion, smash a big old thumbs up and make sure to subscribe to the channel. As I daily vlog here, I do career modes, and everything's pretty much about football. But anyways, as I was saying, let's talk about deja vu. So Chelsea gets back their special one. The man that brought them so many glory back in the day with Deku, with Ricardo Carvalho, with so many of those great guys that he did it with. Drogba, how can we forget him and Lampard? So they have this crazy success under Mourinho, and you bring Mourinho back to the club, and Mourinho does great things. He wins the league, right? And after winning the league, he comes off this next season where supposedly he loses the locker room. A lot of people said he had problems with Hazard, and then it ended up him getting sacked. Okay, Conte, I say Conte, hopefully I'm saying that right. You take over, and you get this job at Chelsea in the hot seat, right? I call it the hot seat because these managers move out of that club like it's nobody's business. People, how long was Villas-Boas there? I don't even remember. Then Villas-Boas got sacked, and that guy replaced him. That was like just an intern guy, and then he won like the Champions League with them. Like, it was nuts. That guy was barely there for any time neither. So these guys, they're moving managers the way we're changing our underwears. You know what I'm saying? So they constantly, this is the hot seat, right? So now Conte comes in from Italy, who he did great things in Italy. He steps in, okay? He wins the league, okay? But then he has a problem with Diego Costa. Instead of Hazard, Diego Costa, right? And then he has a terrible season, and he gets sacked. You see how it's the exact same thing? You win the season, you have a problem with Hazard, you have a bad year, you get sacked. You win the league, you have a big fight or you get into it with Diego Costa, you don't like Diego Costa, you might lose the locker room, you get sacked. It seems to me that this Chelsea problem is much bigger than the manager. It seems that there's something going on inside that locker room that once something goes bad, there's players that just turn against everything. And I heard with Mourinho, Terry, we talked about how players turned against this and people. It just seems like there's players inside that locker room. First of all, I used to think it was Lampard and Terry, but now I think it's much bigger than that. I think there's players inside that just turn against the manager, whoever the manager is, turn against whoever they want, and then they just start playing bad. I truly believe this is much bigger than a manager because it happens to the special one, and now it happens to this Italian stallion that steps in, does an absolute fantastic job his first season, and now all of a sudden he's one of the worst managers we've ever seen. The guy can barely beat, you know what I'm saying? He could barely beat his last game against Watford, okay? So it really seems like similar situations. So I think to myself, is it ownership? Is that why you're going through so many coaches or managers? Is it the players? Is it Hazard? Does this all stem from Hazard? I know Chelsea fans are going to be pissed when I say say that, and they say, wait a minute, why are you pointing fingers at Hazard? Supposedly Hazard had the problem with Mourinho. Supposedly there was these like certain players that turn against Mourinho are the same players turning against Conte and against Conte. And I say this because all of a sudden I wake up to Hazard being linked to Real Madrid with an Asensio deal happening. Now, do I believe this article? No. Do I believe Hazard's gonna leave Chelsea? No. But what Chelsea need right now is stability. In my opinion, this club needs stability more than any club in the EPL, more stability than any club in Europe right now. This is a team that has a lot of success in the last 12 years. Okay, they've had a lot of success. They've come up big. They started signing big players. They started winning a lot of things, Champions Leagues, all kind of stuff. They started winning everything, right? You start to have this crazy success that right when you start to have a little bit of a downfall, somebody gets fired, everything starts changing. I think right now it's time to take a play out of the playbook of Arsenal. I think you got to stick with a manager for a little bit and build a backbone and say, this is what we are and this is who we're going to be. And I thought the guy that it should have been was Mourinho. Straight up, I thought Mourinho should have been your guy. I thought Mourinho should have been the Ferguson of Chelsea. And I know a lot of fans turned against Mourinho after one bad season, but I'm sticking to it, man. You should have stayed where he should have been the Ferguson of Chelsea. And you say, well, but wait a minute, look at what he's doing at United. Well, he's ahead of you guys right now. You know what I'm saying? He took a team that was in a really bad place and he's kind of doing a little bit better with them and he signed some really good players. So I look at the situation, I say, Mourinho maybe should have stayed at Chelsea. You should have given him a long-term deal and kept him for a long time. That's what I think. Now the same thing with this Italian stallion. Okay, not only is he talked about, poorly right now, but they already say that they have a replacement in Luis Enrique. This is the guy that did so many good things with Barcelona, and a lot of people say he didn't know how to defend at Barcelona. Anyways, doesn't matter who it is, but now there's managers being linked for this man's job, saying that, he comes out and he goes, Luis Enrique rules out a mid-season Chelsea move, and it goes on to say he is not interested in taking the job, taking the new job until the end of the season. So now all of a sudden you're linking people here. You're linking. I already heard. I think Conte. They already said he's gone, right? I've heard he's gone. Now I hear he's not gone. I don't know what the story is, bros. But what I'm telling you is, you got managers linked with the job already. You got players like Diego Costa that got kicked out the club for who knows what reasons. Okay, you bring in Bakayoko. You can't get the man to play CDM position correctly to save his life right now. A great player in France, right? He was great. He comes in and all of a sudden you can't have the man play. David Luiz looked like an absolute monster on his return, and now all of a sudden he can't touch the field unless it's like there's something that just, you put him in a game because you're like, I got no options, throw him in there. It's like one of those things where it's like, what's happening? These players that were so great for you last year, all of a sudden are not good for you, and it just kind of really blows my mind. Is there more happening inside this locker room that we're not seeing? I feel like Chelsea has a really bad locker room, bro. I feel like somebody in there is rotten and it's ruining everything, because it always seems like the managers are taking the blame, but every manager gets hit with the same thing. So in the comments down below, Chelsea fans, get in there, man. Let me know how you feel, what you think, what you feel inside, because am I crazy? I'm an outside guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm looking at Chelsea from the outside. I'm looking at it as a complete neutral, and I might see things completely wrong. And if that's the case, I understand completely. This is just opinions, but at the end of the day, take a play out of Arsenal's playbook, because you got to stay with a manager for a few years, man. Going on to say that, if this Conte is leaving, why did you sign Giroud? More importantly, congratulations for only putting Batsui or Batman, whatever you call him. Congratulations for only putting him out on loan, because in my opinion, this is a very good striker. This is a great player that needs a little bit of confidence, a little bit of backing, a little bit of stability. Against the word stability with Chelsea, they need that. He needs a little bit of a run of confidence, and he'll be a great player. The dude gets to Dortmund, bags and goes, but the Bundesliga is not as good as the EPL. I know, I agree, but you're trying to tell me that no shots at West Brom or Watford or anything like that. But you're trying to tell me that Batman can't get a goal or two against these teams? That's what you tell me. This guy has no chance of bagging any goals against any of the teams in the EPL, against nobody. I don't believe it. I don't believe it for a second. If you can score for Dortmund instantly, I truly believe that you are good enough to you might not be the best number 9 for Chelsea, but you're a good solution. You're a good answer. You know what I'm saying? So I really sit around and I think to myself that everything that is happening looks like the exact same thing that happened to Mourinho, and it kind of scares me, man. You see managers being linked mid-season already. Why is Luis Enrique's name even coming close to Chelsea's name when you have a manager that just won you the league? I don't get it. You know what I'm saying? Why was Diego Costa all of a sudden shunned from the club? I know they didn't like each other, but come on, man. Supposedly, Conte didn't. The way he told Diego Costa, was by a text message. A text message, okay? And that's a problem, because if you already have players that, if it's a locker room that's already a little bit spoiled or rotten, all of a sudden you text Diego Costa, hey man, I don't need you no more. You're not playing for me no more. And then he texts Hazard like, yo Hazard, check this out. And he's like, oh shit, the boss told you that. And you're like, yeah, the boss told me that. David Luiz sees it while he's getting his hair permed out. He's getting his afro picked out. And why is he picking this thing out? He's like, hey, for us. And he's like, this is not a good deal. And it's just bad. It's bad, yo. I just think that there's more to the manager, but I also think it has a lot to do with the players. But I think what Conte did with Diego Costa could have even infected that locker room even more, because I do think it's either a locker room situation or some staff that's in there, or even the owner. Something is making that locker room rotten right when something goes bad. The second something goes bad, everything falls apart for whoever the manager is that's there. If the special one couldn't do it, the Italian stallion couldn't do it, how is Luis Enrique going to be your guy that's going to give you stability at this club? He's not. He's going to be another answer for another year that maybe he wins, but then he's gone. Eventually, you're going to run out of damn managers, man. Get Simeone into this club. Get him from Atletico Madrid and say, look, man, you're here for the next 5 years. I want you to beat the hell out of everybody in that locker room. And if you don't like somebody, you're in charge. Get rid of who you want. Keep who you want. Bring your attitude into this locker room and give us some damn stability. That is my talk on Chelsea. Let me know in the comments down below if you believe in that. And the reason I'm so passionate about that is because I've dealt with this with the Washington Redskins, okay? The Washington Redskins had one of the dumbest, most idiotic locker rooms I've ever seen, and they kind of cleaned it up. And now I'm dealing it with the Washington Wizards. Our star player, John Wall, goes out, and he goes out to only see them go on a 4-game win streak. All of a sudden, they go on a 4-game win streak without him. They think they became the Golden State Warriors, and our center, Gortat, decides to tweet out a team win with these there, team win, taking shots at your point guard, who's one of the best point guards in the East. Like, it blows my mind. Locker rooms are terrible, and you got to make sure you keep them under control. And if you can't keep them under control, it's the manager and the owner's fault, and somebody's got to pay for it, but you got to make sure you get somebody who can deal with it. So if Conte's not that guy, if you fire Conte not because of the results he's getting, but because he couldn't deal with the locker room, I give you props. But if you're firing him because he lost to Watford, that is not the answer. That's the wrong answer. Yo, it's been your boy, Double Nine Skills. Let me know if you agree with me in the comments down below. Chelsea fans, United fans, Arsenal fans, let me know how you feel. But this is the first time I'm saying it, man. Take that play out that book for Arsenal, man. They know what they're doing when it comes to holding a manager for a long time, even if he sucks. You know what I'm saying? It's been your boy, Skills. That's my opinion on football. I did not take shots at Arsenal there at the end. I did take a shot at Arsenal Wenger, though. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Big thumbs up. And we back tomorrow for career mode. You know how we get it. We out of here. Good night, good morning, and peace.